Welcome back. I am your host, Black Rose Cinder, Joe JDF Foster, and today I decided to tackle a subject that, due to effects this year in video gaming habits, and that's on how 2K Sports and other games can actually make their games better than they have been. But mainly, while this is an open area topic, I will be doing a lot based on the WWE Pro Wrestling 2K series and how its effect was this year. As some may not be aware, and I wasn't for a while, WWE 2K20 actually had it where they could do refunds this year when the game first came out because it was so glitched and broken, and it was officially listed by Sony as being broken. Though they've released 2 patches that I know of for certain, though they may have done 3, I'm not sure, since, and fixed a number of the glitches. It still has a lot, and to me this shows that the company was more of a rush to get the game out rather than actually trying to make quality games like it had in the past. Another thing about it is 2K actually, and something I've noticed is that WWE since the 2000s, I was a big fan of the SmackDown series, even the SmackDown vs. Raw. And when it became WWE 12, I started to notice the quality of the game went down some. When 2K15 came out, I didn't buy it. Not just because I didn't see any improvements in the game's quality in the commercials, but because the closer it got to being released, the more bad things were being said about it. And it turns out it was a good thing I didn't, because 2K15 was listed as one of the worst games that WWE has ever had released under its banner. The other one, unfortunately, being 2K20. While it's gotten better since they've done the update patches, it does still have a good amount of work to be done on it. But it also turns out that almost any game that's come out this year under the 20 banner, and some under the 19 banner, have actually been really messed up, and it was just a bad year in general. But again, to me, this proves that people were with 2K, this isn't the first time they've been accused of making a bad game and then trying to fix their problem later with the updated patches. By doing this, though, it makes it seem like all they care about is the money. They don't care that they may lose fans and consumers over this. But what they're not realizing is that in losing said consumers and in people who actually enjoyed the game, who are going to their rivals, in the case of NBA 2K, where they're going to NBA Live, they're actually giving them more reason to, which can influence those who buy the game under the 2K banner as fans. The NBA Live fans will have more reason to get them converted over, and it thereby ruining their chances in the future of a good product being bought when they actually do produce them. Like I said, this is in all sports related games, not just 1 or 2. But my main focus is on the WWE, NBA 2K, and the Madden series. And I'm on the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation gaming systems as my main focus of it. Okay, first of all, the first thing they can do, in my view, to make the games better on improvements, is fix the glitches before you release the game. As I stated, 2K20 had to pay refunds to a number of people due to how glitch-filled and hard to play it was. And the game still has constant game crashes at times. So, and issues with it. But people were offered that when they bought the game, within 14 days, if they didn't want to keep it because of how bad it was, they could order a refund and they would be paid the refund back. And they would get the said refund. And to me, that proves you rushed into details and you didn't pay attention and you wasted what you were doing. Rather than actually trying. You were so worried about making money that you didn't worry about how the quality was going to affect said money. And now, since you had to give out the refund, you lose. And all you've got to show for it is the wasted quality of the game. I still have my version of 2K20. And I actually enjoy it, but that's because of the updates, the patch updates they've done, that have fixed a lot of they have fixed a number of issues as they've done the updates and patches to the game. Okay, now, a way to fix this is before release, you get rid of all the glitches in your own. You have beta tests, alpha tests, how many ever tests there are, so that you can go through and see what the issues are with the game before you release it. And you can get rid of them. And this way you can get rid of them and fix them. Have product testers that are willing to do this work for you and tell you and report on these glitches. And that way you can get a twofold deal. By having them work on the game, by having them test the game, you can pay them, making it look like you actually care for the company, and the people who play the games take their advice into consideration. Again, it shows you care. It makes people want to be part of your product testing and want to buy your games because you care so much for them. And when you find out what these glitches or issues are, you can fix them and make the game even better for those who play it when the product's finally released. And this is one of the reasons that the older games, like SmackDown vs. Raw, the SmackDown original franchise, it was under THQ and Ukes, and even the ones on Sega are liked so much by fans because they were tested beforehand. And any glitches they did have were able to be fixed, and it produced a good quality product. Even the in-your-house games that came out, like WrestleMania, the arcade game, and In Your House, when those came out, they were tested, and any glitches that were in them were fixed. And yes, there were still glitches, but it was hard to get those glitches in the game to actually happen if you weren't actually trying to cause them a lot of the time. Now, I'm not saying they'll catch every glitch because it's real hard to do, but you can catch what glitches there are available that quickly, fix them, and then when the other glitches are reported, you can release a patch and it will fix it. It will fix the issues that are reported. And in doing so, you've saved the company money because you're not having to spend as much money working on how to fix the glitches that you left in the game. And there's less of them, so the product's considered better quality, and people will start telling other friends, family, other people they know that enjoy these games about them and recommending them to them, thereby increasing your profits. Second on the list, and this one's probably not going to be as popular with a lot of people as it is for me, kill the My Career mode in the game. It serves no real purpose to the game other than having unlockable features to it, and the My Career or Story mode. In NFL games such as Madden, it was the guy you create that became the quarterback for a while, and his job was to make it to the NFL, eventually having all these rough patches. In the NBA game of 2K19, I don't know 2K20s because I didn't get it because I didn't see it as being worthy. But with 2K19, the story was you were this player who didn't get drafted. You had to play in the minor leagues and work your way up. And all you did really was just build your stats. You didn't really serve any purpose to the game. And you had to follow their set storyline to it based on your decision. Yes, it's a good idea, but at the same time, all you really did was make a version of the game that took up more time than needed, where they didn't get to focus on their enjoyment in the game and had to serve your purpose rather than serving theirs, where they could be happy in said role. Also, by getting rid of the My Career, My Story mode, you allow for more characters that people could create or that you could include in the game, which includes alternate tires, alternate versions, and you can focus on the gameplay mechanics better, making the game better upon release and having less glitches. And you could have more options and details when you're doing the create modes, such as in create tile or whenever you're creating in the game, the person decides to create a version of themselves or just wild character creation. They could come up with more looks and more options for it. That makes it more available. 3, under this order, you could bring back GM mode, which, surprising to me, a lot of fans have requested since they took it out of the games. The only thing I enjoyed about GM mode was that while competing against people in it, I got to play a character in the game as well if I wanted to do the matches. My brother was a lot better at being a GM businessman type. Me, I was better at being the competitor or the employee for it. And for me, that works better. I'd let him do all the GM stuff, and I would actually just compete in the matches. And we were able to beat the game the majority of the time. Now, and you could make the GM mode go as long as the NBA, NFL, or the baseball franchise modes do, which can be anywhere from 10 to 80 years. And you could even have Hall of Fame moments in the game, where like these people are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it could be people that you've included on the roster that are now making it. And this could change every year. And also, 2K has this issue. When you do GM mode in their basketball games, they make it one player, but they make it a challenging game. The thing is, I think if they did it like they did their franchise, or at least the offline franchise, where it's multiplayer for GM mode, you can have them compete business-wise, like the old GM modes in wrestling did, which fans enjoyed. Like I said, which surprised me, but I could see it. The franchise and GM mode could be similar, but with GM mode, you get more control over the backstage stuff, such as the training facilities and how much you're paying players. With the franchise mode in the NBA series, and you don't get control over how good is our training equipment, how good are the people who are actually working with us. You're like, oh, I'm going to take this person and that person and that person, and then you got to live off what they give. You don't get to come up with your own ideas, really, for it. But, at the same time, the NBA at least allowed for the idea of, hey, with some control where you could pick, like, if you took a coach, you didn't like his gameplay style book-wise, like his playbook, you could alter the playbook somewhat. With GM mode, but if you can't work on the training facility, which increases their ability to make the players better or to help with their health, then it's not going to do any good. You're not really being in control of the organization. Also, another thing that the GM mode could allow, another thing that 2K NBA 2K could do, as well as the baseball franchises and the baseball games could do, is that if you take over a team, one, allow control over how many games you play a season, which was MLB 19's issue that a lot of fans raised, that you had to play 180 something. I mean, you had to play the full season worth of games. You couldn't lower it to a certain number. Or you had the option to sim, which could or could not work out for you. But make it where you can pick the number of games you play a season. Make it where in the NBA series, where you can control things a lot better. Such as if you wanted to relocate a team, and this goes for the baseball as well as the basketball. If you want to relocate it, have more options location-wise. The NFL, the Madden series has this issue as well. They put up London and like 6 other cities, but the problem is once you move to that city, that team becomes unavailable to be picked again. And the previous team, city that they moved from, can't be selected anymore. Like, if you moved from, like, my favorite team in pro football, Denver Broncos. If I was to choose to move from Denver to, say, Houston, this would kill Denver as having the ability to have a team anymore. But Houston, who already has at least 1 or 2 teams, would get another one. And it would create an issue. To me, it doesn't show this in the game, where City has issue between, oh, if you come here, it's going to be split. It's going to be a competition between you and the team that's already here. Or if you chose to move like to London, ooh, you got a new fan base, but you're not having to deal with as many of the problems, apparently, as you did, and you couldn't change conferences. They need to allow for that. That I will give the basketball game, the NBA 2K credit for. It allows you to alter the league to fit the settings correctly. Like, if you move from Seattle to Florida, you could change the team from being in the Pacific Northwest or in the West to being in the East, but you could move another team into the Western divisions so that things equal out. And it allowed for the idea of created teams to come into play as well. This, football used to have, but they got rid of it, apparently due to the Pink Raiders teams that a lot of people would create, and the fact that Oakland got mad because people would do this. Well, I hate to tell Oakland this, as much as I like the Raiders, which is actually a good amount, because I like their symbol a lot, but they can get over it. It's a game. You would get mad. If you got mad over that, what was the point in you trying to get a fan base? It kind of ruins the idea, because then you're saying that, oh, they didn't do something we like, we have the right to get rid of it. Why let yourself be in a game then? Why be a team? You might as well do like the Raiders are really doing, move to Vegas and get something better out of the deal. Because I'm telling you, you allow people to create teams, it helps out a lot more because it gives them control. And it puts them in charge and makes them feel like they're important to this fact. And it makes them prove, hey, I created this team, I'm going to prove they're the best. And now, if the team fails, it's on them. It's not on you, the creators, for this. Okay, now for the third way to make a game better. Again, this goes back to WWE and to the pro wrestling and the Madden and the NBA basketball games, especially 2K's series. 1, in WWE, make your universe modes online as well as offline. The same with franchise modes in the other sports. And also, with if you followed my previous theory and got rid of the My Career story mode version of the game. This would allow for more space to work on game modes such as this one and make it more relevant and make it more enjoyable to the fans who are playing it, and to the players. And it wouldn't have to be considered a sandbox mode, even though it is. Also, number 3 on this order, allow for, and this applies mainly to the WWE Universe game, Universe mode, and that is allow multiple storylines to involve multiple characters rather than it being, if you're going to have 4 characters in a story, it has to be a tag team. Otherwise, it has to be one-on-one, because it kind of ruins the idea of it being an actual storyline that way. And also, your options of long, medium, or short rivalry could be changed to a number of weeks, months, to weeks or a certain number of months in order to make it build out and give them more of a feeling for what they're up for. Because to me, a short rivalry could be anywhere from a week, from 2 weeks to a month. To the first to that month's pay-per-view or the next month's pay-per-view, pending when the rivalry actually started. To you guys, to WWE games, it appears that a short-term rivalry can be 1 to 2 months, a medium is 3 to 4, and a long-term one can be up to 6 months, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think a rivalry that goes 6 months is really a long rivalry. I think it's just a long-told story that has multiple things to it. And one example I'm going to go on in this, though 6 months would be a good time to have a rivalry go and end, it's a lot harder to do nowadays under the terms. But now I'm going to give examples to this for why you should have multiple characters allowed in storylines, rivalries, rather than just tag team or singles. 96 to 2000 in wrestling, specifically. In WWE, in 96, 97, and 98, you had Undertaker, Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels triangle. Eventually, if you went back and watched this storyline, Shawn and Bret were a great rivalry for 96 and 90, and a good part of 97. Well, in 97, Undertaker and Bret Hart started having a big rivalry. That became more noticeable because Taker came more into the picture for the title, even fighting with Shawn at times. Well, all this big feud eventually led to the Hell in a Cell at Ground Zero, where Kane made his debut. And it even had the Montreal Screwjob, as infamous as it is, that happened with Bret and Shawn. But if you look at it, having those 3 in it actually helped to build these storylines up to those points, as well as the real-life issues. But, again, helps to build up to the storylines. Another way this worked was with Austin, Triple H, The Rock, and Undertaker, which ran from 98 to 2000. You had the Undertaker's Ministry storyline that worked against Austin, as well as the Corporation with The Rock. You had Rock and Triple H being in DX at the time. And how Austin went back the thing is that with these, you don't have a straightforward heel or face. You can have multiple heels and multiple faces in it. You can have one character that works one way and another character that works another, and it gives fans, as well as the players in this case, a chance to decide who they'd like to see win based on how the storyline's going, whether that's actually how it goes or not. But it builds a better storyline this way. Also, the Elimination Chamber of 2002. It was built real well because you had the Triple H and Shawn Michaels rivalry that happened during that time. Jericho and his King gimmick that was going on. Kane and RVD's tag team that got broke up. And Booker T, who wanted basically to be noticed, character-wise given. during all this time, trying to prove that he was as big a contender as anybody else in the group. And they created the Elimination Chamber, and each got a way to prove it in a way. Despite how the ending came down between the way we thought it would, with Triple H and Shawn Michaels being the final two. Another example of this, where multiple characters in one storyline is a good thing, The Rock, Triple H, and Mankind at the SummerSlam, where they had Jesse the Body Ventura when he was the governor of Minnesota. I don't know if he still is or not. Sorry, I don't follow politics that well. But during this, Jesse the Body Ventura was the governor at the time, and they held the event. They held the SummerSlam there, and it became a triple threat match between those three. But the storyline was built around each of them. Rock wasn't seen as a villain. Triple H was the heel in the group, and Mankind was more loved than he was hated. I mean, than The Rock was even during this time. So The Rock was kind of like the neutral ground between where he was liked more than Triple H, so he'd be a face in that comparison. But at the same time, versus Mankind, he was a heel because he wasn't liked as much by the fans. And the storyline also focused on Triple H and Mankind's hatred towards each other. So it gave more into that. Another example of this is Brock, Kurt Angle, and The Big Show, leading to Survivor Series 2002 and up to WrestleMania the following year. Where it started out, where it was Big Show showed up on SmackDown, took down Brock Lesnar after he'd taken down Undertaker, after Brock had beaten Undertaker at the previous pay-per-view. Well, Big Show showed up, beat him down, and then it was determined that they were going to have, eventually, that they were going to have a match at Survivor Series. Well, this led to the screw job where Paul Heyman screws over Brock Lesnar and becomes the Big Show's representative. Well, they had this storyline working where Angle looked like an innocent victim in this at first, and Brock agreed to help Angle win the title. Once Brock helped him get the title the next night, Kurt Angle was proven to have hired Paul Heyman as his manager, proving that Paul Heyman's character was following the gold and where it went, not necessarily who he thought was the best wrestler at the time. Well, Brock got his revenge on the Big Show, and Angle would be his opponent at WrestleMania. And this would be the year Brock did that shooting star press where he almost broke his neck. Number 4 way to improve the game: allow custom music to be added and edited into the game. Pro wrestling, I hate to tell you this, but you need to add that feature back in because it was a big part of what helped sell the game. Because again, this gave the player more realism to their game, to their characters that they created. And it also made things look better. MLB 19 used it, and I used this feature in their game. You could do it like they did, where you have to have a USB stick, or you have to have a USB stick and import it to the game that way, if you want. Or you could have it where they could add the feature on, where they could add the music to the game, and naturally, and it works. I mean, from the PS4, but it still have to go through the USB stick either way. Like I said, MLB 19 The Show did this, and I actually play that game a lot due to this reason. On WWE games, before you cut out the music, I was using the New Age Outlaws entrance video with Meatloaf's Everything Louder Than Everything Else as my entrance theme, and I enjoyed it because the video worked with it, with the way it was done. And when you got rid of that, it actually hurt me because then I was stuck with what you had, not what actually helped in the game. Because a lot of the music you wanted didn't really suit to my character, and you act like every character fits into your stereotype, into your role characters of that thing. So either they have to be this or that, and it doesn't work that way. The idea of your character's music is supposed to reflect the character's gimmick or what the character means. You could also have, also by having this feature in the game, if the wrestler changed their music in real life, you could have it, you could either do an auto, you could also have, by having this, the people could update the music on the game with the new music when they find it or get it, and they put it on the USB port and plug it in, and it runs through. And look, now they've got an updated character. Even if it's not updated all the way, it's more updated than it was, and the music's at least right for them. This actually brings me to my fifth way to make the games better. Updates could make to more modern, to more reflect the time. Such as in, again, I mainly reflect on pro wrestling, but this could be done in the NBA, the NFL, and others as well. Such as in the NFL and NBA, it could reflect roster changes, which a lot of them do, or they try to, but the players end up staying on the same team. Well, one of your updates could actually fix it where it updates to the real-time team thing. And if the player's retired, it takes them off, and it can create a black image like it does with most created superstars in football and basketball games, and have them there with the information up to date on them. Now back to pro wrestling on this. Sorry, elbow kind of went in my arm, kind of went to sleep on me there. With pro wrestling, the difference being, like if the superstar changes their look during the game's run to, like if they were to become a heel, such as with Bayley and Sasha Banks did, where Bayley cut her hair short, started wearing the blue and gold, came up with her own new entrance style, and Sasha Banks has a new version of her theme, while her hair color changed. The game could reflect this via patches, where it encodes this new information, such as the entrance with the theme, as an alternate attire, or character, as an alternate attire or character. You've done it with Bayley, Sasha, and all them recently, with the 15, 17, 19 entrances. You could do this with a patch just as well, if they were to change, unless it is Bayley 20. This could also help you in terms of gameplay, because if any of the wrestlers leave the business and you haven't released a game yet, you could update to where it has this feature in where it could update the roster and fix it in this way. With another example is such as with SmackDown's Arena. If any of you have watched it since it's went to Fox, you'll notice that the Arena reflects more of what Fox Sports used to do, and still does when it does Fox inside of like the two little bars that look like this. Well, they don't have that stage on the game because the update was done, because the Arena happened after the game's release date happened and they'd finished it. Well, if you did the update patch this way, if you done an update patch like this, you could have this Arena be brought on and have it listed as SmackDown Current or SmackDown 2019. And have the previous one listed as the SmackDown 2018, or have it listed as SmackDown Live and have this one listed as SmackDown on Fox, or SmackDown 2019, or SmackDown with the date that Fox aired the new Arena. And or you can even just make this new Arena on the patch be the default, with the prior one, like I said, being called SmackDown 2018 to 2019 type deal. Number 6, and this one's probably not going to get a lot of the company's attention or come to their credit, and is also probably going to get a lot of hatred from fans of the games. The release of the games. Like with certain types of movies, such as Pirates of the Caribbean, Star Wars, and the Mortal Kombat games, the original trilogy and the new rebooted trilogy as they've been done. In that case, the Mortal Kombat one, like I said, that's the games of the original trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, and the new rebooted trilogy, which is Mortal Kombat X, and Mortal Kombat 11. With the way they did those three, if you wanted, you could work off of that. The anticipation is what made the game more attractive to the fans. And in doing so, you can make the fans want the game more. And because, and this leads into my second listing under this reason, under reason number 6, by holding off on the release date, instead of releasing every year at the same time, by holding off, you can actually allow time to make sure the game's glitch problems are solved the best they can be at the time, and you can improve characters and gameplay options. And this, again, decreases the amount of complaints, while at the same time getting more recommendations for your company as being those that care, and allowing you to have a better chance at making money because the game would be recommended to other players of that nature. I mean, of that type. Whether this be the NBA, the WWE, MLB, or even the racing games. If you don't release them every year, fans will look forward to the next release at times. Yes, we want to be the most up-to-date game, but at the same time, we want good quality over quantity. So, again, 1, kill the My Career and Story mode in the football, basketball, and in pro wrestling games. The baseball one, it actually works. So if you are going to keep it, find a way to make it work with like they do. Not just, oh, hey, we're going to do this, and you're going to follow this storyline exactly. And like I said, in the baseball, as much as I enjoy that story mode, because it does work, when you create the player and you go through it on that road to the show mode, as much as I do enjoy it, I can actually see the game following these same things I'm telling wrestling and basketball and football to get rid of or to improve on, in ways to make it improve, and it'd be just as good, if not better itself. But again, by holding off, back to my point, by holding off, you could make sure that there are more bugs killed off and glitches, so that the game doesn't crash as much or have the issues like 2K20, like the WWE and NBA 2K20, and even NBA 2K20, from what I read, had. But WWE's 2K20 especially in this case, you can make sure that like I said, the characters are more up to date and able to be kept up to date, and that the gameplay is better, where it's not totally impossible to beat, but it's more realistic and even somewhat like the old arcade style. And that when the game comes out, there's less glitches and crashes, so your fans will be happy and want to buy the game more and even recommend it to their friends, which will get you more money in return and make your company look better by default. So again, 1, fix glitches before release as well as the crashing problems. 2, kill the kill the story and my career modes in the game. In WWE's case, bring back my GM mode in its place, if you have to. 4. Allow custom music to be added and edited into your games. 5. Updates that make the game more real. By doing so, you can also make it... Oh, something I just thought of with the updates to make it more modern. If you have players that retire, have the game retire them. You have it where the game could retire them as well and put them into the Hall of Fame if they go in. And like I said, with the new players, you can give them a black screen or get pictures of the players who make it into the NFL and the teams they go to. Have it take a picture and find a way to make that into a patch and put it in the game as well with their stats. And you can actually update the overalls of the teams in the game that way. And number 6, the release date of the game. You can hold off on making them, instead of yearly, do it bi-yearly or over a longer span of time so you can make sure that the game is actually fixed as best it can be before release. Instead of looking like you're rushing a game and crushing the hopes and what popularity you have with fans. And with that update thing, another thing that comes to mind, if you do that update through patches, where like you can update rosters to be more modern and include players who aren't in the game defaultly, and instead have it where they end up finding a way to bring in the new rosters, where like, okay, some of the, like, let's say by chance, something I don't see happening, Josh Dobbs of the UT Vols ends up going into the draft and gets drafted to a team. Your game, if you did the updates where instead of releasing a new game, but instead made where the game updated by a patch, in this way, it had a picture of Josh Dobbs and it had the stats that you have set for him. You could instead take that, patch it into the game, and you wouldn't have to release a new game. And because of the way it's done, you could actually make it where the fans get the new rosters and new games. And if the coach any changes that occur, which means you save money by not having to produce a new game, while you don't make money from it, the fans getting these patches will be more likely to recommend your game specifically because you keep it correct, because you're actually more correct. You make it where rosters are up to date, the people are more correct than having to rush a new game and make it, and everybody ends up happy. But again, these are just my ideas on it. If anybody watching this has ideas, list them in the comments as well. Write into 2K Sports and the other companies that are in charge of producing these games and let them know your thoughts as well. And be sure to leave a recommendation for an upcoming video that you'd like to see me do, or that you'd like to see me discuss about. Because like I said, I can't go live, because I said in the previous video, I can't do live streaming because my computer and stuff seems to have issues with it. But you leave a recommendation on what you would like for me to discuss in an upcoming video. If I can manage to find a way to do it, I will. So be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see in an upcoming video. Until next time.